When we talk about trauma bonding in the context of a narcissistic relationship, we usually talk about the hormones involved, the biochemistry involved. We talk about how cortisol is released in excess, what happens to adrenaline, noradrenaline, and then how dopamine, oxytocin, endorphins, and serotonin, all of this becomes a mess of a cocktail and how that binds you to the narcissist. But unfortunately, what a lot of people do not know about is, and experts like me do not talk about, is the sexual trauma bond, the sexual aspect of it. Because physical intimacy plays a huge role in keeping you stuck in such a vicious cycle, which is what we are going to uncover today. I am Danish, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional, and today we are going to discuss in detail sexual trauma bond with a narcissist. If that sounds intriguing, please stay until the very end and make sure you're subscribed because your subscription may help in spreading awareness about narcissistic abuse. If you do not know what a trauma bond is, let me explain it in a few lines. A trauma bond is a bond of Herculean strength that gets created by high highs and low lows that you experience with such a monstrous individual. The name of the game is nervous system dysregulation. It is the narcissist who becomes the source of your relief as well as pain as well. And because of the intermittent reinforcement that happens in such a relationship, you get stuck, always looking forward to the next high or to the next phase of relief. An example of this could be you having a really bad time with a narcissist. They're treating you horribly. They're verbally, physically, psychologically, and in other ways abusing you. And after that abuse comes a spell of relief and then acting nice. There is absence of abuse. They may gift you something, they may talk to you nicely, they may try to please you and so on. That is when you calm down a little bit. It's during the absence of this calmness, you feel all worked up. Your nervous system is stuck in what's called a sympathetic state. You are stuck in a state of fight, flight, or freeze. You're not able to think clearly. You're panicking, you're anxious, and you're craving their presence. Why not them, their presence? Well, it's their presence that makes you feel better, only when it's nice to experience. So they become the pain, they give you the pain, and then as a consequence of their crazy behavior, they bring you out of it. That is what maintains and reinforces the trauma bond. Now, this episode is all about sexual trauma bond. Where does sex fit into this picture? Let's find out. You and I both know in such a relationship, intimacy is nowhere to be found. You crave connection because they abandon you, they neglect you, and they keep you walking on eggshells. You're always looking for a chance to sit with them, to have a heart-to-heart conversation. Why? Because you want to restore the homeostasis, the balance. You want to bring back the person you fell in love with in the beginning of this situationship. That is something that does not happen. But when that narcissist comes to you to use you, I'll put it as it is, to use you as an object in the name of physical intimacy, that is when you feel touched. That is when you feel connected. For them, it's like rubbing their body against you. It's self-masturbation. Still, you are there, but to them, you are non-existent. That's why it's robotic. That's why it's rock-like. It's like you are doing the thing with a tree. A toy would give you more pleasure than the narcissist who is present in flesh with you. I know that sounds gross, but we have to go into the details. In your traumatized brain, that time period, that moment of connection is perceived as a moment of reunion. Oh, we are back together. Oh, I can hug him or hug her. I can feel her, which then alters the perception of how intense that sexual experience may be. Objectively speaking, it may be not even normal in nature because there is no body love. There is no touch. There is no excitement to it. They just jump over and do the thing and they're done. They don't even talk to you. They don't even look at you. They don't kiss. They don't hold you in their arms. You don't feel like you're with a human being, as I explained. But in your brain, you do not see the negatives. Naturally, you jump to a conclusion. Oh, at least I have this. And that is what reinforces the trauma bond, because it's during this experience, your body is flooded with a lot of hormones such as dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. Dopamine increases excitement. That's what is released in your body when you achieve something. And when you have this sexual experience with a narcissist, it feels like you have achieved something, which is reunion. But that is a false achievement. Then oxytocin is a love hormone. It's released in the body when you feel loved, when you hug somebody. It's a false hug. There's no real hug happening. But because of the absolute lack of intimacy, you turn, of course, unintentionally and unconsciously, this breadcrumb into a loaf of bread. And you feel hugged, you feel touched, you feel cared for. That's why oxytocin is released in excess. And then serotonin, that also changes your mood. You do not feel depressed anymore. You do not feel disconnected anymore. You feel seen. And finally, the most important hormone is endorphins, pain-relieving hormones. You're in a lot of pain when you do not feel the connection with that narco. But when they touch you, when they hold you, when they use you, your pain is relieved. That, my dear survivor, is the cocktail I'm talking about. All of this is released in excess, and then stress hormones like cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline, all of this is reduced. And that is what leads to the biochemical regulation. There is something called nervous system regulation, which is when you come out of a survival state, such as fight, flight, and freeze. And then there is biochemical regulation. Both of them combined makes this sexual experience with a narcissist a very intense experience. Oh, I have never felt sexual intimacy this way. Oh, this is the most unique thing. It's not. It's not. It's only the absence of it that makes it taste and feel so good. It is this sexual trauma bond that keeps you stuck, that keeps you coming back to them. And you may want to have more sex than usual, and they will call you a nymphomaniac. What's wrong with you? Oh, you are an addict. Oh, I can't put up with this. They will intentionally sleep with others and will make sure that you find it out. Why? Because they're sadistic in nature. They will withhold it from you. Withholding intimacy is a punishing technique they intentionally use to get something, which could be basically anything. A yes doing a thing that goes against your moral values. An example of that would be sleeping with, let's say, a random stranger. Oh, you have to do it if you want to please me, if you want to get close to me. Oh, we have to do, let's say, it with 3 or more people. That's not who you are. That's not what you may believe in, but you're forced to do it. Why? Because they're holding that hope over your head. Oh, look at this. They're dangling it. I'll give it to you. Do it. And that's what creates so much shame. You blame yourself, like, I must be an immoral person. I must not have a character, because how could I do it? Well, you were not crazy. You were forced to do it. That's why it's psychological abuse, and the dynamics are extremely complex. They break you down through a process of systematic disintegration and give you a lifetime of sexual trauma. Sometimes people go back only to have that sexual encounter. They may hate the narcissist. They may never want to talk to them, but somehow they can't resist the sexual appeal. Oh, they know how to seduce me. They know how to talk to me. Oh, I have tried experiencing physical intimacy with other people, but it's nothing like what I get to experience with a narcissist. It's only because of the sexual trauma bond. And you might ask, how do I break it? Well, the only way to break it is to not to have any connection with them. I have tried so many things with people. Oh, you can reduce the frequency, you can do this, you can do that. But let me give you a very practical and a direct answer. Nothing will work until you will break the sexual trauma bond. You won't be able to break the psychological or biochemical trauma bond until you stop having sex with them. Then I said it. The more you stop the exposure, the more you will wake up to your reality and you will see the ugliness they contain within. If you want to learn more about the trauma bonding and the different aspects of it, check out my life transforming program called How to Break a Trauma Bond with the Narcissist in 5 Practical Steps. The link is in the description, or you can click the I button above. So that was the truth of the sexual trauma bond and why you need to break it. With that, let's bring this episode to an end. I will talk to you in the next one. Until then, as always, let the healing begin and continue.